Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Comm Box. I'm Gaurav Kapur. With me, of course, Ajay Jadeja. 35 overs in for Australia, batting after winning the toss, of course, at 171 for 3. Looking far better at the end of 35 than they were looking at the end of 15.
Certainly, Australia is looking much better, yes, and they're getting closer to the number that you put.
302 was my guess.
Yeah, and the worries that they've had is, losing wickets in the middle, which hasn't happened today. Yeah. You got to give credit to Australians, of course, but a little bit of experimentation as well. You got Ambati Raidu in to bowl a couple of overs.
Was he this? What was he? I wasn't being able to. I wasn't being able to pick it up. The Australian batsmen were able to pick him up.
Yes, and pick him up for a couple of boundaries. At that stage, you know what? At that stage, if you get runs flowing in your way, just makes it easier for you.
As a batsman, is it sometimes you're just sort of one boundary away from confidence?
It is always. Even if it's not a boundary, sometimes it's just one ball away. You just feel that way.
One middle of the bat.
One middle of the bat, and in that case in particular, it's a moment that you won because oppositions played 5 bowlers, and if you forced, this wasn't the case, but it almost feels like you forced the opposition captain to make a change which he would not like to make.
Yeah. Also, there was some Shami had a strain in the neck or something, or he held that he walked off the field for a while, I think, and then he came back, of course. So at that time, it was a genuine scare because you spoke about this in the pre-show.
Yeah.
If God forbid you get an injury to one of your 5 and you're only playing 5 bowlers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing 5 and if there's an injury, you do get into trouble. But I thought it was a bit too early to start worrying because he's come back. He'd gone out at that stage. Yes, you were worried, but you still hadn't bowled a single over from Ravindra. So you had enough bowlers at that moment. And if you weren't, as a captain, you should be communicating with the bowler who's gone out. So you roughly know whether he's gone out for a serious injury, then you would have had to take that chance. But you could have still waited a little longer because you don't want the opposition to feel easy at the start of the innings.
Yeah, because you had them 3 down, you had them 2 down at the time. Khawaja looked like when he came into bat that he was going to pitch a tent, he was going to stay there for a while, and he did 59 of 81. So in terms of strike rate, not flamboyant, but did the job. Yeah. Which is establish it after 2 early wickets.
Absolutely, because that's what Australia needs. Australia hasn't had a good run in the last year or so, and the batting has struggled. So when you're in that stage, you're not really worrying about 340, 360. You first want to be in the game. So they are thinking differently. I was surprised that India was thinking differently as well because, yes, you had that injury scare, but you could have still carried on with your main bowlers and hoped for them to come back because he'd already bowled 4. So it was only about 6 overs, even if he hadn't come back. So you could have, probably used Ambati Raidu a little later when the game was flowing already. You let that pressure go at that stage, and now...
So last word, of course, it augurs well for Australia that you still have Stoinis and Maxwell, 2 guys capable of big hits. If you can give them a good platform going into over 41, 42, that gives them license to create mayhem.
Yeah, and Maxwell doesn't need no license. I mean, he plays only one way. He knows no other way. And the shorter the innings, I think it works better for him. The only difference here now is when he comes into bat in over number 20 or 30, the opposition is looking to pick a wicket as well. So they might bowl at different lines. Whereas if you come in right at the end, last 5, 6 overs to go or 30 balls, then the bowlers are also only thinking about those 30 balls and they're not trying to get you out. That makes it a little more difficult for somebody who bats like Maxwell to come in right at the end. But what you said, if he walks in at 41 overs with 5 wickets still in hand, he could be trouble.
He could be trouble. How much trouble will it be? Well, we'll find out. At the end of 50 overs, we will see you with the Cricbuzz Live. Of course, Zahir Khan will be joining us. I've done 2 of these. I've just, the thing, when you're the youngest, they just bully you. We're going to see you at the end of 50 overs. Take care.